Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jordan and welcome to today's reading vlog, which in theory should have happened a year ago. I recently did a video where I reacted to a video I made a year ago talking about my most anticipated releases from Q4 of 2022, and I went through all the books, talked about which ones I did read, which ones I didn't read, and which ones I was still interested in reading. And there were 4 of them. 2 of them I had on my physical TBR, 2 of them I don't own, but I still think sound interesting. And in the comments of that video, I had a couple of lovely friends recommend that I make a reading vlog reading those books before I do my next round of reacting to the previous year's anticipated releases. So I'm kind of operating on a time crunch. Like, if I don't read these books now, then I never will. The ones I own, I should probably get rid of. And I don't want to do that. I want to read these books. So I have 4 books that I will be trying to read this week. Let's talk about what they are. The first one is an author that I will be reading a lot this month. It's 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I talk about her Good Girl's Guide to Murder series in my November TBR. I also want to read that whole series this month, but I'm actually going to start with 5 Survive. This is a young adult thriller about a group of friends who are on a road trip, and then it sounds like they're being hunted down by somebody. I think it will be high action and fun to read, which I'm excited about. I was so excited to get this book a year ago. It was gifted to me for Christmas by Gabby from Gabbing About Books. And what a way to show you're thankful for receiving a book by not reading it for an entire year. I am writing that wrong. Can't wait to get to this one. I also have the audio version, so there is literally no reason to not be able to fit this book in. The other book that I already own physically, oh no, another Christmas gift. This one is from Keisha. Keep It in the Family by John Mars. Mystery thriller. I believe it follows this married couple who moves into a new house. They think it's haunted. Something tells me it's something in the basement, or maybe that's the attic. I'm not sure. I have enjoyed John Mars books in the past, so I should like this. I'm not sure why I've been dragging my feet on it, but I need to get it read. And then the 2 other books that I'm reading in this vlog, I don't own physically, so the good news is they haven't been taking up physical space on my TBR, but I was interested in them for a reason, so I want to find out if I'm gonna like them. The first one is called The Union by Leah Vernon. I believe this one is a young adult dystopian type book, which I've always loved. I don't know anything about the specifics of the plot or anything, so I'll let you know once I get there, but very excited to check it out. And then the last book that I'll be reading for this video is called The Ingenue by Rachel Kapelke-Dale. This one is available on Scribd, and what is it about? Like a piano prodigy or something like that? I did enjoy The Ballerinas by this author, so I wanted to check out her next release, so I am doing it. Honestly, I have no idea which book I'm going to start with or what order I'm gonna go in. We're just gonna play it by ear. I will be back once I have started one of these books, can give you some initial reactions, a better synopsis about what exactly is going on, and hopefully we will fly through these books and find out if I should have read it a year ago because I was putting off my enjoyment, or if maybe there was a reason I subconsciously put these books off and I figured out they're not for me. Either way, I will check in with you soon. All right, friends, hello. I am here with my first update. I started with 5 Survive, and I am so far 130 pages into it. And why have I been putting this book off? This is such a me book. I think I'm going to love it. I'm really liking it so far. Basically, this is following a group of 6 friends who are early adults. I think 1 or 2 of them are like 21 years old, and then the rest of them are around, I don't know, 17, 18, 19. So they're like in the transition from high school to college, and we are following them during spring break. They're taking a road trip from Philadelphia is where they live, down to the Gulf Shores. And there is a map in the beginning of the book that shows like the road trip route that they're taking. And what's also very interesting about the setup of this book is that they are driving an RV. So there's also a map in the beginning of the book of the RV and like the layout of it. and it's such a fun setting. I don't know if it's just because my family has an RV, so I can so vividly picture like this environment that they're in. But even if you don't have an RV, I think you know what it is, and I think it makes for a very, very interesting setting of a book because it's like a combination between a car and a house. Obviously, you know that. But like you can have road trip type problems of like being on the road, but you have so many more resources than you would in just a regular car because it's an RV. For some reason, that's blowing my mind and it's a lot of fun. So I'm loving the setting. And then the plot of this book is pretty interesting because they are on a road trip, like I said, and they are just about to get to their first stop. On the trip, they're going to a campground where they're planning on parking the RV for the night, staying overnight, resuming their road trip in the morning. So when the book starts, it's at, I think, 10 p.m. Yes, 10 p.m. And then the book is separated into sections where it goes hour by hour. So then you have 11 p.m., 12 a.m., 1 a.m., etc. And from what I understand, I think it goes until like 6 a.m. So I love that it's all taking place in one night. That tells me that it's gonna be pretty action-packed. And there's also something kind of fun about it starting at 10 p.m. because these characters are already really tired from the day they just had. And now stuff is really starting to go down late at night. And it's like that tiredness adds an extra element to what they're going through. And what they're going through is they're trying to find this campground when all of a sudden all of their service goes out, so they don't have access to their GPS to tell them how to get there. So they end up taking this random road and then they blow a tire. So they stop, they have to repair that tire, and then they manage to like turn around. They're trying to get back to where they were going. And then all of a sudden, all 4 of their tires are shot out. As in, with a rifle, they think there is a sniper who shot out their tires and now is trapping them in this location that they're at. What they're not sure of is why, because this is a total like chance circumstance. Has somebody just been waiting for somebody to go down this road and then they're just gonna shoot out their tires and like mess with them a little bit? Is this group of people being targeted for some reason? It's all very unclear, but it's a very high-risk situation. They can't leave the RV because they're afraid of being shot, but now they're stuck there. They have no way of leaving, so they're just trying to figure out what to do. It's very tense and interesting, and like I mentioned, it's just my kind of book. That is the type of setup that I totally gravitate towards, and I'm not sure why I never really knew what this book was about. I don't think I've seen all that many people read it and review it, but had I heard that entire synopsis, I know I would have gravitated towards it, and now that I am actually reading it, I'm very excited to finish reading it. I am curious to find out how the mystery and the plot of it develops, because I do have quite a ways of the book left to go, and it can't all be action, so there has to be some revealing of like these characters' secrets. Maybe some of them have enemies or something, so they have reason to think someone would be coming after them. Our main character is very suspicious. She has a very questionable past. I don't know everything that's happened to her, but it's clear that she has some trauma in her past. She's got some secrets that she's keeping from her friends. I'm not sure if she's at the center of everything that's going on here, but obviously because it's a book, I'm assuming some of what her story is relates to what's going on. I'm just very interested to see how it plays out. And I'm specifically interested because this is a young adult book, maybe getting into new adult a little bit because they're early 20s, but they're still so young that like their secrets, it feels like they can't be that bad. So I'm interested to find out what they are to warrant this extremely high stakes situation. I often find that that's a gripe I have with young adult books. I love young adult books, but a lot of times the situations they're in are usually pretty low stakes, or they're unrealistically high stakes for being young adults. So I'm curious to find out if this is the same. If like having a sniper chasing after them is way over the top for what it is that is actually being hidden, or if these young adults have somehow gotten themselves into some really messy, mature business. I'm not sure which way it's gonna go, but my mind is open. I'm excited to keep reading this, and then I will let you know once I've finished it what my final thoughts are. Hopefully I really love it so that I'm excited to pick up this author's other series that she's written. All right, hello, back with my next update. It is the next day. I have finished 5 Survive. Also, yes, that is the second Christmas tree you are seeing in these update clips. We are full-fledged Christmas mode around here, but time to check in because like I said, I finished 5 Survive. You guys, I really enjoyed this. Is it the most technically perfect book? Probably not. Are the characters in this really over the top? Yes, they are. Is this overall plot and the stakes of the situation that this group of teenagers and young adults is in extremely unbelievable? Yes, it is. Was the plot overall pretty predictable? Yes, it was. But did I still enjoy it? Yes, I did. I had so much fun with this book. I really think it was because of the format of hour-by-hour updates, as well as the setting being set in an RV. I don't know why I'm fixating on that as such a fun part of this book, but it really was. And I just really enjoyed it. This actually makes me even more excited to read Holly Jackson's other series, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, because since finishing this, I did go onto Goodreads and look at reviews for it, and a lot of people are saying they liked it, but it wasn't the same as A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So because I really enjoyed this one, I'm thinking I should love that series then if it's even better. So I'm kind of glad that I read this one first, and now I'm even more excited for that series. So overall, a win, a really good start to this video. So happy to finally have this knocked off of my TBR. Not sure why I waited so long, but glad I finally did get to it and enjoyed it. I am rating it 4 stars. My other reading update that I have is going to be a quick one. I did start The Union by Leah Vernon on audio. I am only a little bit into this one. I think I'm only 2 chapters in. So I really don't have anything to say other than I'm really interested and kind of nervous to find out if I'm still interested in young adult dystopian books. I have really enjoyed a bunch of dystopian series in the past when I was in high school and early college. At that point, I hadn't really read any mystery thrillers. I didn't really read contemporary books. I didn't read fantasy. That was kind of all that I read, and I loved it. And now, I don't know, I'm not sure I'm gonna love it in the same way because already only 2 chapters in, I'm really nervous about my ability to latch on to a dystopian world. I don't know why that is, if I've just kind of grown out of my interest in that genre, if it's feeling a little too close to fantasy in how it really has to go heavy on the world building and like the history setting. I'm already finding myself just not interested in hearing about the past of this society. Maybe it's also a little bit of growing up and realizing that like real world is very dystopian in itself, and I don't need to read a book to escape into a dystopian world when I have so many issues and concerns with our real life contemporary world, and I would rather, I don't know, read some kind of contemporary book that provides hope for the situation that we're in right now, or tells a meaningful story of someone going through something that has actually happened or could realistically happen. I don't know what it is, but only 2 chapters in, I'm just a little bit nervous, but I am gonna push through it. So far, the first 2 chapters have been from 2 different perspectives. 2 girls, one is on the like rebellion side, more of an outcast, lower caste citizen, and then one is in the family that is in charge. I don't really have enough information yet to use the correct terminology for whatever is used in this dystopian world, but hopefully I'll catch on relatively quickly. There really hasn't been anything plot-wise that's happened yet. We're still very much in the setup, but I'm hoping the plot comes soon enough. I guess just wanted to share that update that I did start that book, and that will be the next book that I finish and fully review on here. And then my last update that I have is kind of an exciting one because I did just get a package. This is from Bastion LLC, which I actually just saw this brand collaborate with my friend Lena over at Lena's Bookshelf. They sent her a very nice pen that she showed on camera, and I was like, oh, that looks really nice. I commented that it looked really nice, and then shortly after that, the company reached out to me. I'm not sure if it's maybe because they saw that comment on her video or it just happened to be a coincidence, but they reached out to me and asked if I wanted to try one of their luxury pens, and I said yes. So they sent me a link to their website, let me pick out which one I wanted, and I'm excited to open up this package to see the one that I picked. I did go with one of their aluminum pens. They've got a bunch of different options in terms of the material that the pens are actually made out of, but the reason I picked this one is because it comes in pink. So I did pick the pink aluminum pen. Looks like it came in this box, and then also a protective little sleeve for the pen came in this little package. So I'll open both of those things up. I am not too much of a luxury pen person. I do have one like Swarovski pen that my mom gave me as a gift one time that honestly I rarely use, not because I don't like it, but just because I don't find myself reaching for a really nice pen. I don't know if I'm subconsciously nervous about like using it up too quickly or ruining it or something or what. But now that I have two, maybe I can work them into the rotation a little bit more. Okay, so I got the plastic off of the box. So now I'm gonna slide it out, open up the box. Inside yet another protective sheet, and then we've got the pen itself. It's cold because it was sitting out in our mailbox and it's cold out, but this is pretty beautiful. It is aluminum, like I said, very shiny and smooth. It has this little clicker thing. What is this called? It's called something. I don't know, I'm not fancy enough to know, but yeah, you click it and then the ballpoint comes out. Take that little thing off the tip of it. Let's see, do I have some paper that I can use to write on a little bit? It does indeed write, so that's good. It does feel like it has good weight to it. I will spend a little bit of time testing it out a little bit more and let you know maybe by the end of this video what my final thoughts are. But first impressions is this feels like a very nice luxurious pen. I love the color of it personally, but they have a bunch of other options if you're interested in a different material. Like they had a carbon fiber one that I also thought looked really nice and considered getting for my husband, but decided to get the one for me. And it does fit nicely in its little case so it stays protected. So that is super cool. I will leave this company's information down in the description. I do believe I also have a code to share with you to get you a discount if you want to get one of these pens for yourself or look into them for the holidays. Maybe you know someone who could really use a luxury pen in their life. But thank you, Bastian, for sending me this pen, partnering with me on this video. Now I'm going to get back to my day. I'm going to get back to listening to The Union. I'll be back once I finish that book and have a final update for you. All right, friends, I have an update for you. It's gonna be a bit of a weird one because the reading is not going well. My first update is on The Union. I'm gonna DNF it. I am just finding that I don't care. I'm not sure if it's the genre, if it's that I've grown out of enjoying young adult dystopian books. I'm not sure if it's because now it feels a little bit too close to fantasy for me, in that it's doing a lot of world building and history telling, and that's not my favorite thing to read. We also have already had a lot of action sequences, and like pure action fight scenes are not my favorite thing either. So I'm just finding that I'm wanting to like skip a bunch of portions of this book, which is not a great sign and probably indicative that I need to just skip the book altogether. It really has nothing to do with the actual plot or subject matter. The book itself is a really interesting concept. It's a dystopian series where basically society is flipped and now people of color, Black people, are the ruling race and have become so powerful that they are now dominant and they are oppressors, and white individuals are the oppressed. And it sounds like there's this whole spectrum of the darker your skin is, the more powerful you are perceived to be, the paler you are, the more oppressed you are. Very interesting concept, and I'm sure the book will have some very interesting things to say by the end of it. However, I do also think this is a series, and I don't think I'm signing up to read an entire dystopian series. I just don't have it in me right now. I'm not invested in the characters themselves. Again, I just don't care to learn about decades, potentially centuries of history. It's just not interesting to me. So I'm gonna put it down. I really didn't get that far into it, so I can't even offer a valuable review of the book. I just don't think it's going to be for me. So that is a bummer. The other bummer is that I started the ingenue. First of all, I did learn how to pronounce that word. And since learning it, I've also heard it in other places, which is always funny when that happens in life, when you learn some detail or pick out some detail or pattern and then you see it everywhere. This one I got quite a ways into. Let me check. I got 43% of the way in. And this one, I'm also gonna DNF, but for basically opposite reasons. I guess not completely opposite, because this one does appear to have also a compelling story at the root of it. We are following this main character named Saskia, whose mother has passed away, and her parents used to own this really big house. I think it's like a manor. It's an estate. So Saskia grew up wealthy, living in this house. She always assumed it was going to be hers to inherit. I'm a little confused at the dynamics because her father is not dead, so she's talking to her father about inheriting the house, and he's telling her that they're actually going to give it to someone else, not Saskia. So she has a lot of very complicated feelings about that, and she's basically trying to figure out why this is the case and reverse the decision. That is not all that interesting of a premise to me. This book description says it's My Dark Vanessa meets The Queen's Gambit, because Saskia is also a former piano prodigy. I was hoping for a lot more of that piano prodigy element. However, that's a very small part of the book, at least in the 43% that I've read so far. Also, the fact that that is in the past. She was a former prodigy, she's let it go. It's just a lot less interesting to me. I would much rather read about the child piano prodigy coming up in that and trying to fulfill their potential with this ability, but that's really not what the book is about. So I feel a little bit misled on that, and I'm just bored with the book. It does appear like it's going to go a lot more into Saskia's relationship with this guy who's getting the house. They have a complicated relationship that sounds like it's going to have an element of sexual abuse or sexual assault. And while I recognize that that is an important topic to be handled in books, and I'm seeing reviews from some of my friends saying that it was written really well, I'm just not that interested in it right now. This book does seem like it could be up my alley, maybe at a different point in time. Maybe if I had the physical book along with the audio, I would be able to focus a little bit more and get myself like in the headspace to read about that kind of subject matter. But the reality is, right now, my life is just a little busy. I don't have the attention span, or I don't have the focus to be able to take in an audiobook about this topic, so I'm just not gonna do it. I, this year, have put a lot of focus on reading books that bring me joy or that I want to be reading, and this book I'm not interested in coming back to right now. So I'm just not gonna do it. I hope that that's clear, that this is not necessarily a negative review for both of these two books that I'm DNFing. It's just me saying now's not the time. This video is all about prioritizing books that I said I was interested in, but that doesn't mean I have to love them. I just want to give them a try, and if they're not working for me, then I can keep them in the past. I don't have to try them again. I don't have to have them weighing on me as like books I should have prioritized but haven't made time for. At this point, I've tried them. They're not for me. I am perfectly happy moving on forward. So that's what we're gonna do. We are all of a sudden on to the last book of this video, and I have started it. I'm only, I don't know, 3 or 4 chapters in, about 20 pages or so. So I've only gotten the very beginning of the synopsis. We're following this married couple who has been living with the husband's parents for a while they look for a place to live. It's kind of driving them crazy, especially the wife. Can kind of relate, since we lived with my in-laws for a month this past summer before moving into this house. But they found a house. It's a bit of a fixer-upper, so the husband and his dad are going to put a lot of time and effort into renovating it, but they're hopeful that it's going to be their dream home. They're excited to move forward. I'm not really sure where the conflict is going to come into place. It seems like this couple and their relationship with the husband's parents, it's strained, so there might be some conflict there with the in-laws becoming overbearing about what they do at the house. There might be some strife between the couple because it's just a stressful time in their lives. And then I do think they end up finding something in the house that tells them there are secrets involved and like the house has a dark history that they're going to uncover. I don't really know anything about what that is, so we will see. I'm curious and a little bit cautious because I do think there's going to be an element of children, something to do with children in this book, which worries me a little bit. I don't think I can call it a trigger because I do not have any trauma related to harm coming to children, but I do have children, so it's a fear of mine. So it's a topic I tread a little bit lightly with. So I'm just curious to see how that's gonna come into play. There is like a teddy bear on the cover of this book, which maybe should have tipped off something to me earlier that there's gonna be some kind of something with kids, but I'm not sure what it is. This couple does not have kids. I believe they've made it known that the wife can't have kids, so that might be part of the conflict. I'm not sure. I'm open-minded at this point. This actually is grabbing my attention, so that's a good thing. Hopefully I can maintain that attention and fly through this book relatively quickly, hoping that this one is a winner for me. But either way, I'll come back and let you know once I've finished this book how I enjoy it. And this will kind of be a determining factor for me with John Mars because his books have been pretty hit or miss for me. And if I have too many more misses, I might just give up on him as an author. But yeah, we'll see. I will be back with an update on this book once I have it. Alrighty, you guys, it is the same day and I'm about to do something unprecedented for my channel. I am about to DNF my third book in a row for this video. And what's incredibly interesting about this is that it's for a very different reason than I just DNF'd the last two books. It has come to my attention that this book contains a lot of harm to children. Part of me is feeling guilty because I feel like I should have known that that's what this book is about, but then the other part of me is looking back at the synopsis and realizing, no, that's not what it says it's about. So let me just tell you what this book is about. So I already told you it's about this couple who moves into this house. They're gonna start renovating it. And while they're doing that, they're pulling up like the baseboards or something, and the wife sees a message like scratched into the baseboard that says, I think it says, "I will save them from the attic," or something like that. So the wife is like, what's going on in the attic? So they all go up there and they find 7 suitcases, and inside the suitcases, or inside the one that they open up, are the remains of a child. And it's at this point that I realize and decide this book is not for me. I really don't care to learn about what happened to these children, and it's not that I think this book shouldn't exist or that other people can't enjoy it. I'm just drawing the boundary for myself. I don't know how much farther this book goes into the graphic descriptions of what happened to the children. I just don't want to send myself down that road, so I'm gonna DNF the book, which is kind of a bummer because I was enjoying the writing style of the book. John Mars is so good at basically every chapter having some kind of like little cliffhanger or little piece of information to keep you turning the pages. I love that style of writing in thrillers, and my favorite book by John Mars so far was What Lies Between Us, which was a domestic thriller, very twisty-turny, and I loved that. I just think this one, the specific subject matter, it's just not gonna do anything for me. It's just gonna disturb me. So I'm gonna protect myself. Oh, and I was gonna say, I did look at reviews of this book on Goodreads. Overall, it has a really high average rating. It has generally good reviews from a lot of my friends. It does sound like there are some good twists and stuff in here, which is exciting. And part of me wants to like look up spoilers or message somebody who's read it and have them basically explain to me what happens without going into the gory details. But I'm not curious enough to put myself through the torture of reading about really horrific acts to multiple children. Unfortunately, that does mean that I have DNF'd 3 of the 4 books that I tried to read for this video, which was absolutely not what I was thinking was gonna happen. I didn't necessarily think I would enjoy all of the books that I read, but I thought I would at least finish them. But here we are. Sometimes this is how it goes. I am choosing to be okay with myself DNFing books more often. Even though I read for content, I still don't think it should be a chore or a slog, or it should affect my mental health to be pushing through books that I don't want to finish. So hopefully this is a message to anybody else who struggles with DNFing in general. I will say it gets easier the more you do it. And also hopefully I have at least been able to provide a little bit of context to each of these books so that if you are interested in reading them, you now have the information you need so that you know if you should pick them up or not. And let's not forget that I did have one successful book. I did really enjoy 5 Survive. So if nothing else, I'm glad to find out that this one was a winner for me. I finally read one of my most anticipated releases from a year ago and it worked out. And the other 3, at least I can take them completely off of my TBR and I can know that for all the books that I talked about a year ago, I have either read them all or decided they're not for me. And that makes me feel okay. So please let me know if you have read any of the books that I talked about in this video. Let me know what your thoughts were, or let me know if I've convinced you to read any of the books or potentially not read any of the books. I am already looking forward to next quarter when I get to react to those anticipated releases from a year ago and find out how many more books I have to try out a year after they were my anticipated releases. I think this should be a fun series to keep up with. Fingers crossed I have better luck with the actual books themselves, but again, I'm choosing not to feel guilty about it. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else, so thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.